Hey folks, I'm Rob. I'm back with another Player 2 Plays, and we're continuing the exploration into Atari 50, the anniversary celebration, by, we're doing this sort of thing where I'm just going to walk through a platform at a time, pick a few games in that platform's collection that are pretty cool and interesting, and show them off in action. Hopefully give you an idea of what it's actually like to play the games in the collection. This episode we're focusing on Atari's 8-bit computer family, and this is sort of one of the least populated categories, platforms in the collection. There's only 5 games on offer. So we're going to look at, the first one we're going to look at is Miner 2049er. This is an early platformer that's sort of in the, the step of things like Donkey Kong. And you star Bounty Bob, who is walking on screen. And the basic idea is you've got to clear each of these stages by walking on all the platforms. So you can see I'm starting to fill them in. And you collect the objects, they let you take out the enemies. And one thing I really like is that unlike, say, Donkey Kong, where, the hammer power-up only let you do it for a short period of time, here, when you take an enemy out by colliding into it after grabbing a power-up, they go on for the rest of the level, or your life. Anyway, let's do this. Let's keep doing this. So basically, our goal is to do it all before we run out of time. You can see the bonus counter in the top center of the screen. 18, now it reads 1700, 1600. We got plenty of time though. We've just about finished this first stage. This one's a bit of an easy one to get you into how things play, but this game gets pretty ferocious pretty quickly, as we'll see. So, Station 2. Now, it's unsurprising that when I say that there's only 10 levels, so it's probably no surprise that it gets ferocious. Especially when you do something stupid like that. I was trying to jump over the thing. The downside is, of course, when you die, you have to replay the entire level. So let's try not to trigger the slide. Yeah, there we go. The entire platform is taken care of. And so you've got to work systematically through these levels. Let's keep going. Good job, noob. Good job. Well, get them out of the way now. I lost all my lives. It's my last life already. That's terrible. I was just playing this before and I had a much better time of it. Oh, well, if that happens, we'll just go and have another run. Anyway. Nice. We've got plenty of time left on the bonus clock, and we've got most of this level taken care of now, so let's just be careful how we jump. And the classic thing with early 1980s platform games, falling down too far kills you. Okay, let's put our name in. Now, this is a game you obviously would be playing with a joystick with a single fire button. And so, it definitely... There we go. There we go, there's a space. That's why you get things like that happening, where D-pad's not the best for entering names like this. Anyway, there we go. Let's finish putting our name in, and we'll take another pass. Because I could definitely get further in. Okay. I can definitely get further in. I've made it to the 4th stage, which is kind of brutal. But this game does some interesting things that don't necessarily expect for a platform game of this type. There we go. Press start for a one-player game. Cool, let's do this again. One thing I love is that sound effect when you take an enemy out. It's something that, you know, Atari's early systems were just really good at for some reason. These sort of explosion sounds. Like, most of these vintage systems, you know, in the 70s and 80s, tended to just generate square waves for their audio. So they didn't do sampling like we have today. And for some reason, just the way Atari designed the hardware, the way their engineers did it, the explosions just sound so much better. Alright, station 2. Take you out and you out to stop causing bother. And then we'll paint this platform. There we go, avoided the trigger for that slide. Not that it would be a problem because we've already taken care of the critters at the bottom of the map. Alright. Would you believe it? I missed it by that much. Oh well. I mean, the plot of this game is just, it's ridiculous. But it's ridiculous in that way that early 80s games always tended to be. Like, our hero here, Bounty Bob, is a, you know, real Canadian Mountie. And he's on the trail of a crook who's entered a bunch of, he's entered a mine, like a uranium mine. So, in a way, the countdown for the bonus countdown is actually like how long you've got before you die of radiation poisoning. Good old 1980s video games. Anyway, we've got this in the bag now, so let's just take the last shot and not accidentally trigger the slide. Oh, we can trigger that slide, and we're done. Stage 2, 8 more to go. This third one brings something I really love into the picture. It's this teleporter mechanic. So, and in the original game, you use the number keys on the computer to actually select your level. So I'd have typed 3 to pick the third teleporter. Oof. Okay, that was not pretty. I forgot that. But that's an extra life. Now we just got to avoid this critter. And then we just got to do this last part of the level. These last few squares and we're done. Now to my nemesis, stage 4. So station 4, I should say. Keep it on tradition. Oh, nice. I mean, our bounty here has a bit of a painful jump arc, so you've got to be careful. And not do that. Or that. Okay, last life. I think I will. We won't do a third game of Minor 2049 at this point. Well, there we go. Game over. And that's minor 2049er. So I'm going to go back. And I think the second game, the last one we'll do, we'll just keep this to 2 games this time, is Yoomp. Now this one is actually modern. Well, relatively speaking. It came out in 2007. And so it's what we would call a homebrew game. That is, independently written game, wasn't commercially available. It's a free game. It was entered into the ABBUC software contest. That's a German Atari computer users group that's still running today, and they run this contest yearly. People submit games and applications, and Yoomp won it in 2007. And let's dive in, because really, you can see why once we get going. Nice presentation here as it starts up. It's like loading the game off disk. This is how it actually boots. Most of the games in this collection are cartridges, but this is an actual disc game. So we load it up. Let's hit start. Press fire to Yoomp. So the idea is you're bouncing your way down this tunnel, and the idea is you've got to get your way to the end. At the very bottom of the screen, it's partially obscured by the monitor frame. But there's a little bar that slowly fills up, and when that bar fills up, you're at the end of the stage. So the idea is the ball is constantly bouncing. I'm not controlling that. What I'm controlling is I'm moving it to the side as it bounces. And so you've got free movement of that. And the challenge is basically making sure you get on the squares. So those squares that have the arrow let you jump further. And as it stands, first stage is done. Now I'm able to get a few stages into this. It depends on how good a run I have. Maybe if I have a good enough run, I might just do the one play. Then maybe we could squeeze in a third game. So yeah, so you've got to sort of read the ground. I imagine for a lot of you this is going to look like a real mess. It's a pretty low resolution, which you need to do to get this game running at like a full 50, stage 2's done, or 60 frames per second. The emulation here is running an American Atari computer, so that's 60 frames a second. And it threw me off when actually playing it, because I've played it on real hardware. And that's with a European Atari computer, like we have, if you remember your old TV standards, PAL versus NTSC. Australia, like Europe, is PAL, and so we run at 50 Hz natively. Ooh, that earthquake one is always a doozy. So you can sort of see it gets a little muddy with some of the texturing, like really. Ooh, that was close. But that's stage 3 done. Yeah, 3 down. I can't remember how many levels there are in the game completely. There's quite a few. Like, I've made it to maybe 6, so we're most of the way through now. At least as far as I could get. I haven't quite mastered the 6th one. And this little trick here, these blocks, the little pluses increase the brightness, the minuses decrease it. And it's a really cool use of the color capabilities of these Atari computers. Like, in the late 70s, they had a palette of 128 to 256 colors. Most other machines wouldn't see that until, like, VGA-based PCs in the late 80s, which really didn't take massive, influence until the 90s. Yet this computer model from 1979 was doing it. Anyway, nice. Finish level 4. Yeah. This one throws me off a bit, so we probably lose a few lives here. We gotta stack them out already. But I love how you notice it's very subtle. But our little ball is bouncing to the beat, and I love that. It's a great bit of music. Pokey music is the sound chip on the Atari computers is called. Well, it's not just the sound chip; it does a whole bunch of stuff. But sound input, because that's the same. Pokey is potentiometer and keyboard, so it was used for reading paddles. Oh, Oh, this stage one. This was a tricky one. Alright. Let's see how we go. I could do it. I've done this one. I've got to the next stage. But yeah, I think early morning mojo. I'm sort of sitting there and recording this before I start work. There we go. Right through the map. Get to the double jump. Oh no, it's the pause. And then we get down here. Then we get the double jump. See, I love how there are tricks like that. Like, I love how there's tricks like that. One upside is that we've now passed like the checkpoint, so we don't have to replay the entire stage. Stop. Bounce around. Go. Nice. There we go. Whew. Level 5 done. Okay, level 6. And something I really like is that there is a password system. You'll have seen that there. Like, every stage gives you a passcode once you complete it, so you can come back and resume. No, it feels very modern. So I'm glad it's there because, hey, most of the people who were playing this game when it came out, probably not really willing to, start from level 1 all the time. One thing to do it because you're showing the game off to new people. And, I think Yoomp is a game that is... Yeah, getting the trick to that one. It does bend your mind a bit, sort of like understanding understanding how the ball sort of warps when you do that. Anyway. Okay. Ooh, we did it! I haven't beaten this stage in so long, and I've been playing this a fair bit lately, because other stuff, and I couldn't beat that stage. But level 7, I think this is our last life. I can't remember if you can earn extra lives in Yoomp. That part of it has been a while, eh? Anyway, let's keep bouncing around. Just gotta see where the tunnel goes. Oh, okay, that's game over. Well, I'm pretty happy to make it to level 7. So we could do that again, but I think... See if we can squeeze in another game. The best choice for that would be Caverns of Mars. I mean, the other two games we've got on the 8-bit computers here are Food Fight, which is a later release. This is when they had the XEGS console. They turned it into a console. But it's not a very good port. And Bounty Bob Strikes Back is Miner 2049, a sequel. So we'll look at Caverns of Mars. And the story of this is, it was submitted to the Atari Program Exchange. They had this, like you could submit games and they'd publish them. And it was really popular, so they turned it into an official cartridge. Let's play Novice. It's actually a tricky game. They basically scramble. What if scramble but vertical? You're piloting your fighter into these caverns, and you're taking out you got to take out a reactor that's buried deep inside. It's definitely a good, challenging, just old school arcade game. And you can see why it was popular, off the zeitgeist of Scramble. Especially because I don't think... the pseudo-sequel to Scramble, Super Cobra did, I believe, got a release on the computers. I don't think Scramble itself didn't. There was a great modern version that came out a few years ago that did. Someone studied the arcade game and created a new version. But back in the day it didn't. I think there are plenty of clones. Anyway, so now we're on the second segment. Putting it on its easiest level limits the number of caverns you have to run. Okay. So the idea is you keep shooting these red ships with the Fs for fuel, and they'll let the fuel... Yeah, there we go. Now I've gotten to the inside of the deepest cavern. Now, if you're playing on a higher skill level, there are actually more stages you need to pass through. Oh! I ran out of fuel. I didn't shoot enough things. So anyway, we're descending through the last part of the caverns. And we've planted the bomb. We've triggered it. And now we've got 30 seconds to get out of there. And thankfully it's not too complex, at least on this easy level. I wanted to try and beat it on the... Oh, I can't shoot on the escape. Which means you don't have enough fuel if you're not careful, but I think the game is smart enough to know, yeah, it gives you enough. That's the thing with the engine there. I haven't played this much in a while. Anyway, hey, we're almost out. Ooh, that was too close for comfort. Yeah, we've destroyed the first cavern. Cavern number 2. Admittedly, because I've played it on the easiest difficulty, it's a bit limiting. But yeah, it's one that I admit I haven't been able to master the tougher difficulty levels yet. And so we want to shoot all those fuel things, because we want to make sure we've got enough fuel. Especially for when we get into the that second sector. There's some devious traps on the third sector, where you have like gates that you have to time your movements past. I have not been able to master those, which is why I'm not playing on the next difficulty level. But it's a great way, I feel, of adapting the difficulty, because it just adds, like, you add to the game and introduce a whole bunch of new features. And crash out. And it's worth noting, it's only the ships that kill you. Some games are very brutal in that they'll have explosions take you out, but thankfully if you do that here, you're okay. You can pass through the explosions unscathed. Alright. And this is our last life, and we're gonna have enough fuel? I don't think we're gonna have enough fuel. No! Oh! It topped us up. With just enough. Oh, I really love that, but it's just like... Oh, now the escape gets faster. Yeah, that you really want to have a classic style joystick, not a gamepad. I'm gonna leave it there. That is the games of Atari's 8-bit computer family within Atari 50. There's some cool games here. There's only 5, which is a little stifling, but it's still cool to see this variety of games on there. So I'm going to call this to a close here. I hope you really enjoyed this look at these games. I'll be back with more parts of this look through Atari 50 soon. Until then, there is, of course, subscribing to the channel to see more Player 2 plays and other content from the rest of the Player 2 crew. You can, of course, visit the main Player 2 website at player2.net.au and consider subscribing and all of that stuff. So I'm just going to leave it there and just say thank you all very much for watching.